Alright, what is going on, everybody? We are back today for another video on the dirty, filthy Indian Scout Bobber. Wow, this thing needs a bath. I think I'm going to do that today. But I'm not going to make a video I don't believe of that, because that would be very boring for you guys to watch. Cold start. Still cold here. Still got the jacket on. So pretty much I'm just going to go over everything in the last 5,000 miles of owning this bike. We'll talk about what's happened. We'll talk about some good, some bad. Kind of give you guys a story of how I got the bike. Kitty cat. I'm not going to go in depth with things. I'm not going to pick the bike apart. I'm just kind of going to give you an average rider review, because that's what I am, an average rider. I don't claim to know too much about motorcycles. So I'm kind of going to just give you my experience. It's going to be more of a 5,000 mile experience video. Alright guys, let's start off with how I decided to pick the Indian Scout Bobber. It was back in 2018. I was living with my roommate, and we were just hanging out one morning, just chilling, not doing too much on YouTube. And we came across Brandon Bicasso's channel. We were just looking at motorcycle videos just for the hell of it. Neither of us have rode prior to that. We were just, we just kind of got sucked into the motorcycle world of YouTube. He had just purchased the 2018 Indian Scout Bobber. And man, we started flying through his videos. We watched most of them, and we were just in love. So deer. That's another deer. There's always deer every time I make a video. Where are you? I saw you up there. Always, every time I make a video, there's always got to be a deer making an appearance. So we're going to take it nice and easy on this back road. I couldn't get enough. Once we finished watching his videos on the 2018 Indian Scout Bobber, I just wanted more. So I found a few more channels. There's a few guys that ride. And it just wasn't cutting it. I'm like, dude, we got to find a dealership. We got to go. Like, we need to see one of these in person. So the very next day, we found a dealership that was probably about an hour away from my place, maybe a little more. It was about an hour and a half away from my place. We went up to the dealership. As soon as I laid my eyes on the motorcycle, I fell in love. It was the Bronze Edition 2018 Indian Scout Bobber, which I love the bronze color. It was my second favorite. My first favorite was the red. I wanted the red from day one. Once I started looking online and I saw all the pictures, I wanted the red. I needed the red. So I asked the dealership if they had any red, and they said no. They called their sister store, and they didn't have any as well. So I was a little bummed out, but they had the bronze, and I love the bronze. I was like, you know what? I could settle for the bronze. It's a gorgeous bike. I'm going to get that. I'm going to work my ass off, and I'm going to get that bike. What are we doing? What are they spraying? I don't want to pass because these roads are so windy. Alright, I'm just going to pass. There we go. Much better. I knew from that moment I wanted the Indian Scout Bobber. I didn't care what year it was. I knew I had to work a little bit. I had to work my ass off if I wanted to get this bike. I didn't have a motorcycle permit, no license, no experience. I rode a scooter back when I was in high school, so I had a little bit of experience on two wheels. I never rode a dirt bike, anything like that. When I fell in love with motorcycles, it was from my stepfather, so I've always had a passion for motorcycles. He would always take me out. I'd sit on the gas tank. We'd go for cruises around town. I loved it, and for some reason I just never pursued it. So it was in 2018 when that's when I really pushed for it, and I knew that I needed to make it happen. So I've been influenced by motorcycles throughout my life. I've had them in my life. I just never went out and rode my own. Like I said, I had the scooter. That was fun and all, and then I kind of just dwindled away, and I never got a motorcycle. Hey, we finally have a homie. Last video we didn't have one. So my stepfather was definitely a huge influence on me wanting a motorcycle. It was definitely around August when we were at that dealership of 2018. And when we left the dealership, I talked to my one buddy that I worked with that rides a motorcycle, and he gave me a learning permit book. I was super nervous when I went out and got my permit, but I nailed it. I got all but I think like 3 questions right. I passed it, I got my permit, and then it was onto the motorcycle safety course. I took that class. actually after I had already purchased the Indian Scout Bobber. Now what happened was, right after that 2 weeks when I got my permit, the Bloomsburg Fair was in town, and me and the fiance and the kids, we were down at the fair, and Indian had a pop-up tent there. So I was drawn right to it. I went over there. Right as we turned the corner, I see the Indian Scout Bobber, black and red. I didn't think twice. I flew right over there. I talked to the guy. You know, I was telling him I wanted to wait like a year. I wanted to get a little bit of savings up. I'm going to wait a little bit, and then I'm going to purchase the bike. He's like, well, this bike's going to go fast. It's not going to sit around long. So I was like, okay, why don't we run some credit? Let's see. Let's punch some numbers in. Let's see what we're working with. So he did a credit check. Everything passed. He gave me my monthly totals. I told him that I would put $1,000 down. So I put $1,000 down. I liked where my monthly payments were at. I was happy with all of that. So that very day at the fair, I told him I wanted it. I told him it's mine. I said, let's just get this paperwork rolling. So I had to call the dealership the next day. I got everything processed, and the bike was mine. So I purchased the motorcycle. The problem is, I can't go up and get it because I don't know how to ride a motorcycle. So I tell the guy, give me 2 weeks. I said, I'm going to go to the safety course. I'm going to get my license. I'm going to learn how to ride a motorcycle, and I'll be here in 2 weeks to pick it up. And he's like, well, we could drop it off for you. So I ended up going with that route and let the guy drop it off. And he dropped it off about a week after I bought it down at the fairgrounds. And this was right about the time I was finishing up my safety course. The guy delivered it to my house. And I would take the bike up and down this one little road near me, because it was right about October when this happened, end of September, beginning of October, so it was starting to get chilly here, and I had no idea what I was doing when it came to riding, so I didn't want to ride it far. So I would ride it up and down this one little road near me, and then before I knew it, it was freezing. I think I had about 100 miles on it in total before I put it away for the winter, and I couldn't ride it. So I had to sit there for the entire winter, just waiting to ride the motorcycle. Man, that felt like an eternity. Now here we are, 3 years later. I only have 5,200 on the bike. So that is the background story of how I got my 2018 Indian Scout Bobber. So I want to give a big shout out to Brandon Bicasso, because without him, I don't know, man. I don't know if this would be the bike I was sitting on. He really made me fall in love with it. So big shout out to you, Brandon. Thank you. I appreciate all you do with your videos. So that is going to bring me to the 5,000 mark on my motorcycle. I am officially at 5,270. I just kind of want to give you guys an overview of what I've been through in the last 5,000 miles, the service I've done on it, the mods I've done to the bike, any problems I've had with the bike. I just want to go over in short with you. When I purchased the motorcycle, it only had 18 miles on it. So it was essentially brand new when I got it. I had a few test miles on it. I didn't ride it much the first year. By the time I had the bike, a month later, it was winter, so I wasn't riding then. So it wasn't until 2019 when I really started putting some miles on the bike. I put 36 on it that year. So you have the 500 mile break-in period for the Indian Scout Bobber. It didn't take long to hit that 500 miles. When you hit that 500 miles, you have to take the bike in for a tune-up and an oil change. You know, once you get through that break-in period, they want to tighten the bike up. They want to make sure everything's kosher, make sure everything's running good. I took it to the dealership when it was close to 1,000. I couldn't get right in. They were a little backed up, so by the time I got it in there, it was about 1,000 miles on it. They did the tune-up, they did the oil change. No issues at all. It's a little pricey for you guys wondering. If I could do it myself, I would really like to do the oil change by myself. I know for the first service, you got to bring it into them, let them do the tune-up, make sure everything's running good with your bike, make sure there's no defects. Eventually here, I want to start doing oil changes on my own, but I don't have a garage or a motorcycle stand. I know I could do it without a motorcycle stand, but it's kind of a pain in the driveway. You kind of see that narrow driveway I got to back in and out of. I can move one of the cars, but it's kind of on a hill, so it's just going to be awkward all around to do an oil change near my house. So right now I'm just letting the dealership do all of that. So that was my first service. And then in that same year I bought the Vance & Hine 3-inch slash cut exhaust. I slapped that on. I did that by myself, and this was with zero experience with working on anything. I don't work on cars, I don't work on motorcycles, so it's zero experience. I was able to do it myself. If you're looking at buying that exhaust, then you'll have no problem doing it. If I can do it, you can do it. I did have one problem where I went and I tightened the bolt a little bit too far. It let me know what I had to torque the bolt down to, and I did what it said, and it snapped. So my only advice on that is don't torque it to what it says to torque it at, because I snapped the bolt. Just do it with your hand. You'll feel comfortable. Like when it gets tight, you'll know, you'll feel it. Don't torque it down. That's my recommendation on that. That brings us into 2020, and that's when I put on the 10-inch mini apes here. Now I didn't do them myself. I had the dealership do it. I dropped it off. They had the bars up there. They had the extended cables up there. I didn't touch any of that. Honestly, those are the two best things I've done to the bike. I haven't done that much, so there's not much to choose from, but the handlebars and the exhaust are my favorite. Now, the reason I like the handlebars is because it brings you up a little bit. Now, with the stock bars, you would be sitting like this, so you have a little bit of an arch to your back. I wasn't too much of a fan of that. It started to really hurt my back. Now, I don't experience as much back pain now. That same year, I got the Indian Scout Bobber comfort seat. Now, this is just, you can go right to the dealership and buy the seat. It's the cheapest option, one of the cheapest options, and it looks just like the stock seat. It resembles it almost identically. It doesn't look any different, but the only thing about it is you get a lot more cushion in it, and night and day difference. I am so glad that I got the seat. My ass doesn't go numb while I'm riding anymore. I really like the seat. So that was kind of my comfort mods, were the handlebars and the seat. That's all I've done to the bike so far. I haven't done much. I added the quad lock and little bells and whistles like that, but I haven't done anything performance wise. I would like to do the performance intake. I would like to look into doing that. So if you own the Indian Scout Bobber and you have any of the performance mods, let me know down below what you have and what your experience is with them, because I would love to do something like that. I think pretty soon we're going to look into doing that. Maybe next year. Red bomb. Oh yeah. God, I can never get enough of that. So that brings us to 2021. That is when I went up to my mother's house. I got the motorcycle out of the barn. That's where I stored it during the winter. I brought it home. That was in March. I rode it around a little bit on the warmer days. I hit the 5,000 mile mark, called the dealership to schedule an appointment to have the tires put on and do an oil change and a tune-up. I don't know what they did to the bike, but I feel like it was running really aggressive. I loved it. I know I had that, I think, like 2 videos ago. If you go back to 2 videos ago, you can kind of see when I get the new tires on. You'll see it's called new tires. And it just felt aggressive. I don't know if it was because of the tires. I don't know. I mean, it still kind of feels like that, but I just feel like it was really punchy when I got it that day. I had so much fun on that ride. That was a blast. So that brings me to one problem I've had with the motorcycle so far, which is nothing serious. It's not a deal breaker. I got the bike in 2019 up at my mom's. I brought it home. Now, the very next day I went to go start it and it wouldn't start. I could not get it to start. I thought it was a gas problem. I thought maybe it was a battery problem. I tried everything. I could not figure it out for the life of me. I called the dealer. The dealer said, hey, listen, we'll come pick it up. We'll check and see what's wrong for you. Because I pretty much just bought the bike. Like I said, I think I had 100 miles on it at that point. I take the seat off and the battery terminal was loose. It's like the connection wasn't fully there. So the bolt was like semi-broke. So I had to go out and I had to find a new bolt. I threw that bolt in there and I was able to screw it down. Everything was perfect after that. I had no issues after that. So, I mean, that was a minor inconvenience. I called the dealership, let them know I figured it out. They didn't have to come pick the bike up. So I kind of want to end the video, guys, on this road right here. This is the first official road that I would ride on, as I was saying in the beginning of the video. I live right up the hill here, so I would always take the bike right down here. I felt safe. I was comfortable on it. I didn't want to push it on the main roads. I didn't know what I was doing. So this road just means a lot to me. I have so much fun riding on it. I figured I'd take you guys down it real quick. So that's my video on the Indian Scout Bobber. I love this bike. This bike is amazing. I will definitely never get rid of this bike. We're going to keep this bike forever, guys. You don't have to worry about this bike going anywhere off the channel. and there will be plenty of motorcycles on the channel. Speaking of, my buddy just purchased a Honda Shadow, a 2003. We're gonna go on dual moto vlogs. We're gonna work on his bike. We're gonna just do things like that. So there will always be motorcycles on this channel, I promise you that. There will be a variety. But on that note, guys, let's do a little second gear pull. Let's see what this bike's got. Oh yeah. That was the second gear pull. I love doing second gear and third gear pulls. It's so much fun. The torque you feel from this bike is phenomenal. This bike is always bringing a smile to my face. No matter what I'm doing, I'm always smiling when I'm out here riding this bike. I'm gonna end the video here. We'll leave you off with a little bit of a scenic ride. We'll throw on the ending music. I hope you guys have a good day. Peace out.